We are live, and I hope you're ready to celebrate the New Year's. 2023 is about to come. Ladies, if you're watching this and if you're thinking whether you should celebrate today or you shouldn't, please put on your most gorgeous outfit and shine. In this live video, before 2022 is over, I wanted to talk about the 8 lessons that I've personally learned in 2022. And these are going to be 8 lessons about how to learn better. Lesson number 1 is that learning must be effortful. It's a mistake to think that learning should be effortless. And I know that we are all bombarded with so much advertising which says learning is fun. Just one mini lesson a day. Just, what is it? Like a 1 minute of learning a day and then you're done. You're never going to be done. You're never going to be done. That's just enough to grab your attention, and that's what everybody wants. They want your attention online. But learning must be effortful, because we ourselves as learners do not really appreciate the learning that is effortless. It is not effortless. It feels effortless once you've put in enough effort. I am personally interested in mastery and virtuosity. I will vote for it. To me, mastery and virtuosity, they feel effortless. It doesn't mean that you're not applying any effort. It means that you have put in enough effort and you have practiced enough to make it feel natural. It just flows. Or probably you are in the mental state of flow when you practice that thing, when you do that thing, and you're applying a lot of effort, but it takes you, I would say, it takes you so much less time. If we take a beginner and a master, they're both doing the same thing. But a master may do this exercise within a second. It just takes this person a split second to do a very complicated move, or to be spontaneous, or to do a handstand, or to do a pistol squat, or to say something spontaneously in such a manner that everybody just gives them a round of applause and everybody is convinced. And if you take a beginner, it may take them a week to prepare a speech, then another week to practice the speech, then another week to self-correct and edit everything, and then maybe another year to practice confidence so that they can deliver the speech. And then 1 more year to practice being spontaneous. So they're doing the same thing. Essentially, they're doing the same thing. But somebody who has practiced enough and somebody who has become a master of the skill, they're doing the same thing, but it takes them a lot less time. So don't believe it when people say that it's effortless. No, it just feels effortless. It might feel effortless if you've been doing it long enough, but it is not without effort. Learning must be effortful. And if you're asking yourself, what can I do for myself in 2023 so that learning brings joy, so that I do not lose my own motivation, make sure that your own effort brings you joy. A good question to ask yourself is, what brings me joy actually on a daily basis? The only thing that motivates me and the only thing that drives me forward is my own result. Oh gosh, if I look at myself, if I watch my own videos from 2018, from 2019, I think to myself, gosh, who is that person? Who is that person? What's wrong with her pronunciation? What's wrong with the way she speaks? I see the result, and that's what motivates me. And that's what inspires me to go forward. It's very important that every learner has a system, a measurement system, that allows them to monitor their successes and their failures. Unfortunately, there is a split. There is a very weird split if we talk about the world of online learning or education in general. People are being shown only their mistakes, and then everybody feels discouraged and demotivated, or people are being shown only their successes. Like, you open any language learning application, you press play to watch a video lesson, and they give you 1,000 points. Congratulations, you completed level 1. I haven't done anything yet. What are you rewarding me for? For the fact that I pressed the button? I finished watching the video and they give me 10,000 more points. You just unlocked another award. And my question again is, what are you rewarding me for? It just feels so fake because I haven't done anything and I'm receiving bonuses for what? Basically, because this is becoming normal in society, and because everybody applies the same strategy, this instant gratification, basically they reward people for participating, for downloading the application, for opening the application, for pressing play, for pressing buttons. But no learning is taking place. A person hasn't even started putting in any effort, but they already have received 25,000 points and a bunch of badges and 300 achievements. It feels good, but the point of learning is not to feel good. That's not the true purpose of learning. It's not to make you feel good. You have to practice the skill of discerning what is a true achievement and what is a fake achievement. Are you being rewarded for participation, or are you being rewarded for achieving something? And again, learning is not even about achieving something. And who is this person? It's not even a person. Some software actually not who, it's a software that tells you whether you have achieved something or you haven't. And that's not right. That's not the way learning works. You have to cultivate self-awareness. You have to be very clear about what is it that you learned and what is it that you haven't learned yet. Again, you need a very clear measurement system so that you can measure your successes and your failures. Fall in love with your own effort. That's a must. Because if learning is not effortful, it's not going to get you anywhere. Fall in love with your own effort. Why is it so hard for people to fall in love with their effort? Because most of the time they try to bite off more than they can chew. Most of the time people overestimate how much they are actually capable of. They overestimate their confidence. They overestimate their English skills. They overestimate their learning skills. So when they try to do too much, when they try to accomplish more than they can actually handle, they get discouraged to try again because they fail. What hurts them? Their own expectations. First, you have to understand where you are as a learner. And then you have to choose the tasks that are feasible for you. If you choose the tasks and the exercises that are way too difficult, there is no way for you to fall in love with your effort. Fall in love with your effort. How do you know that you've fallen in love with your effort? You start looking forward to the next exercise. You look forward to doing it again. Lesson number 2 on my list is practice it. Do not learn it. Look, I work with advanced learners, people who already speak very good English, people whose English communication skills are already pretty strong, but what they need is native-like fluency. They need relationships in English, they need meaningful connections in English, they need clarity. They need to express very complicated matters in English, very personal matters too. Most people I work with, trust me, I work with a lot of business professionals and business owners and people who already work at top international companies. They do not need my help to talk about work. They talk about work at work every single day. They know the vocabulary. They know how to talk about the business terminology, the business processes. They know everything. Where they struggle, however, is building relationships with their colleagues, with their clients, with their customers, with the stakeholders, with their bosses. Understanding people. Checking understanding, listening to people, making sure that they are heard and understood. They struggle with belonging in the group and making sure that they belong, but at the same time they maintain their own individuality. They don't want to lose themselves in a foreign culture, in a foreign environment, in a foreign country. This year I started working with a lot of people who relocated, who started a new life, who started a new career, who changed jobs. And again, the number one thing that they need is relationships with people who think differently, with people who speak a different language from birth. Wherever you are in the academic terms, pre-intermediate, intermediate, advanced, C1, C2, I do not care. I know a lot of people who have the C2 certificate. It doesn't mean they're beautiful communicators. Not always. It doesn't mean that they can tell beautiful stories, compelling stories, convincing stories. It doesn't mean that they can listen and understand. And it doesn't mean that they know how to use their own intonations to build meaningful relationships and to have meaningful conversations with people. That's what you want to learn. That's what native like fluency is about. And you cannot remove the cultural part from the learning process. It's not about learning more words and more grammar. It's not about memorizing beautiful phrases. It's about understanding people. That's it. To understand those people who grew up in a different culture, you need to learn something about their culture. It does not mean that you need to adopt their cultural norms, their societal norms. You still can and should, probably it's up to you, maintain your individuality. However, you want to learn to understand them and help them understand you. That's why if this is your goal, if you can relate to what I'm saying, if this is your goal, there is no course in the world, there is no program in the world that will get you there. Because how do people learn? How do people take online courses? They take a course and they presume it's going to be over by this date. Okay, I'm starting a course today. 2 months from now, it's going to be over. 2 months from now, I'm going to receive that certificate. 2 months from now, I'm going to add the certificate on my resume and I'm good to go. No. There is no guarantee that in 2 months' time, you're going to become a more, let's say, a brilliant communicator. There's no guarantee. And just like relationships, it's an ongoing process. We always learn something about ourselves and about people when we are in relationships with these people. And I'm talking about all kinds of relationships right now. I'm not talking about romantic relationships. I'm talking about business relationships, relationships with your children, relationships with your friends, relationships with your clients, relationships with everything in existence, especially if you moved to a foreign country where everything works differently. You will have a relationship with everything that you see and that you experience. That's why relationships will probably be your priority if you're someone who needs native like fluency. And we need to take care of our relationships every time we communicate with that person or every time we interact with that thing, every single time. It's not like we take a course in relationships and that's it. We never touch our relationships. We never work on them again. We work on our relationships all the time. The same applies to learning. Essentially, you're learning to have better relationships with people. That means that you need to take care of your relationships with people and of your own understanding all the time, all the time. That's why my tip is replace the word learn with the word practice. Instead of asking yourself, when will I finally learn English? How can I learn English? Instead of looking for courses that promise you that you will learn English you will have learned English by the end of the course, you ask yourself instead, how can I practice English? How can I practice? What's the most effective way for me to practice my skill? You're probably going to be more effective. Every time I go to the gym, I practice the move that I want to practice today. I want to practice push-ups today. Of course I know how to do push-ups, but I can do better every workout. Every time I go to the gym, I can do better. I can self-test. How am I doing my push-ups today? Am I good? Or am I losing the skill? Do I need to work on them? And every time I work with kettlebells, first I self-test, right? How is my skill today? How am I feeling today? And then I see what I can do. I decide what weight I want to work with today. I decide what moves I want to do to perform today. So when you sit down to practice your English skills, and you don't necessarily have to sit down, but for a lot of people, practice means sitting down and doing something. Yes, if you practice writing in English, you probably absolutely have to sit down and write, but you can practice in so many other ways. Like if you haven't checked out the community of practice, go and check it out. There are over 100 of creative exercises to practice all the essential skills to get to native-like fluency. I designed them for people who need native-like fluency, not for people who need to learn English words, because there are more resources and there are more people who can teach you the basic stuff. So choose to practice. For example, let me give you an example. You struggle with your pronunciation and you have to do a lot of phone calls in English at work. Every time you need to pick up a phone, or every time you have a Zoom call with your client, you worry that they are not going to understand you. You worry that they're going to complain about your accent again, or you worry that they're going to ask a lot of clarifying questions again, and you will feel embarrassed again, and you will have to repeat yourself again. So that's a given, that's a reality. Going about this in a way that, well, telling yourself, oh, this shouldn't be happening. I have spent years and years improving my accent and learning the pronunciation, and I'm still not there. I'm still not good enough. This is not a way out. It's already happening. People are complaining. People struggle understanding you when you speak English. So what you can choose to practice is you can choose to practice your pronunciation. And if this is the case, you want to break it down for yourself. What is it about your pronunciation that needs work? Because when you say pronunciation, it's a very big thing, but maybe you mispronounce the vowels. Maybe you don't really feel the difference between black, cat, and pepper, red pepper. Just yesterday, my student said carry, but in fact, he meant carry, and I also misunderstood him. Carry. Maybe that's the thing that you want to practice. Or maybe you have problems with the TH sound. Instead of this, you say this. Or instead of thought, you say sought. And again, thought and sought are two different words. It's easy to confuse them. And it's easier for people to misunderstand you if you mispronounce this sound. So the first thing you want to do is you want to identify what is it that you want to practice. And then every time you want to practice your English skills, you sit down and you practice the TH, or you practice the difference between these two vowels. That's it. You don't tell yourself, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to learn it, I'm going to finally learn it, or I'm going to take a course that will teach me how to improve my pronunciation once and for all. This will never happen, and I wish everybody in the online learning world stopped lying to people. This is not what's going to happen. No online course will ever teach you if you're not ready to apply your own effort and actually learn. No one can teach you. You can choose to learn. And to me, that's very empowering. I know that it is painful when people keep interrupting you because they do not understand you. I know that it feels painful when you're doing your best, but people go like, what did you say? Or I had a lot of clients who had to demo their product to a lot of American clients, and every time they would get the same feedback, which was, we understand the words that you're saying, but we don't understand what you're actually saying. That is really painful, and that is frustrating. But first you have to identify what is it that you need to practice. Practice always means improvement. Improvement always leads to change. So when you practice something, you're actually working on changing it. The end result of practice should be a lasting change. The end result of any online course is just course completion. And unfortunately, everybody measures the effectiveness of any online course by looking at the course completion rate. That means nothing, absolutely nothing. If we talk about a person and their skills and their understanding, nothing. So practice it. The next time you go to the gym, try it. I'm not saying that everybody should do it, but I want you to try it. Tell yourself, okay, today I'm gonna practice push-ups. I'm gonna practice deadlift. I'm gonna practice this move. The next time you open any exercise or you decide to practice your English, tell yourself, okay, I'm gonna practice reading this text out loud. I'm gonna practice the intensive listening exercise. Don't tell yourself that you're gonna learn it. Practice it and commit to practicing it. That's lesson number 2. Practice it instead of trying to learn it. Your language is very powerful. When you change your language, you actually change your thinking. And that relieves so much stress. Because if your thinking was incorrect, most likely your language was incorrect. And the self-talk was also doing more harm than good. And you want the self-talk that you're having with yourself to help you instead of discouraging you and instead of distracting you from your real purpose. Number 3, the true purpose of learning is not to complete a course. The true purpose of learning is to unfold your infinite potential. The most interesting part about learning is that I'm learning about my own potential. What else can I do? Can I do this? Can I do more than this? These are very interesting questions, and the answers to these questions are even more interesting. The purpose of learning is to unfold your infinite potential. The result of learning is a lasting change, always. So if you're learning something and you're not seeing any change, you're doing something wrong. The only reason I learn something is that I want to apply it in my real life. If I'm not going to apply it, what's the purpose of learning it? If I finished a course but I still cannot apply it in my real situations, in my real life situations, I don't understand what I was learning or what I think I was learning. It means I haven't learned that. Learning must create a change. So that's my next lesson. Lesson number 4, inner state. Very, very important. Your inner state creates your thoughts, and your thoughts create your inner state. That's lesson number 4. Pay attention to your inner state and the thoughts that you're having. If you're struggling with identifying the thoughts that you're having that lead to that negative self-talk, write them down. Practice writing down your thoughts so that you can identify them, so that you can see them. Journaling is an amazing practice that has helped me a lot this year. So I started practicing it a few years ago. I think I started in 2017, and it's been a very, very rewarding practice. I write to understand. I write to find the answers to my own questions. Inner state is a big thing, is a big topic, but what is interesting is that when I asked my students and my followers and subscribers to answer a few questions about inner state, I was shocked. I was shocked to find out what prevents people from learning and what gets in the way. What gets in the way is not the fact that they cannot or do not have motivation. It's not the fact that the curriculum is too difficult. It's not the fact that they don't want to learn. It's not the fact that they're lazy. The number one reason was negative self-talk. And reason number 2 was procrastination because of this negative self-talk. And reason number 3 was low energy. People either have low energy levels, they want to do something, but they just simply don't have the energy to do it, or people have a lot of energy and they spend too much energy on the wrong thing. And then when they get to doing the right thing, they don't have any more energy to do the right thing because they wasted all their energy doing the wrong thing. And that happens to a lot of English learners who are busy, who seem busy. They take English classes, they attend speaking clubs, they watch YouTube videos, they watch Netflix, they do a crazy amount of exercises. But it gets them nowhere. They don't really see a change. They don't really see an improvement. They seem busy, but they're not paying attention to the most important thing, which is a real change. It's very difficult to observe a real change in yourself. It's very easy to see how other people progress. Very difficult to self-diagnose. This is why human feedback is so important here. But as time goes by, they realize in the end that no real change has happened, and everything they've been doing is just scratching the surface. They haven't really done any deep work to move beyond what they already know. And people love doing the things that they know how to do, and that's why they love putting their energy into something that they already know. They know how to watch Netflix, so they do it. They find it easy to open a YouTube video. That's why they do it. They find it easy to schedule a lesson with their coach and prepare nothing, hoping that they paid, and that means that their teacher is going to show up prepared and tell them what to do, so they don't feel like they have to do anything. They do the things that they know how to do. But to progress and to create a real lasting change for yourself, you actually need to create your own environment where the change that you want to bring about can happen. You need to take care of your own environment. And a teacher that you choose to work with is a part of that environment. A place where you practice is a part of that environment. The information that you consume is a part of that environment. The thoughts that you're thinking also create that environment. The exercises that you choose to do create that environment. And it must be your responsibility. You have so much more power than you think. Unfortunately, people like to give their power away to somebody who they think is more knowledgeable or to somebody who has more authority. You are the most powerful authority when it comes to learning. You know best how you should learn and what works for you. Never give this power away to others. When I asked people, why do you think you spend so much energy on the wrong thing? They said, I don't know. I said, okay, let's have a look at where this energy goes. If you have low energy levels, it means your energy is being depleted. Something is taking it away from you. So where does your energy go? Most often, the answer to this question is negative thoughts and doubts. Self-doubt, specifically. People are not sure if they're making the right decision. People are not sure if they're doing the right steps toward their future. People are not sure if they're doing the right thing in life. People are not sure if they're doing the right exercise. People are not sure if they're with the right people. So a lot of negative thoughts. And again, if we go back to the concept that your thoughts create your inner state and your inner state creates your thoughts, it's a very powerful thought, because to have more energy, you need to be in the right inner state. And to create that right inner state for yourself, you need to be thinking the right thoughts for you. To be thinking the right thoughts, you need to be very careful about the information that you consume. And probably you don't want to consume information. You want to selectively filter the information that enters your environment. You need to have good filters. What information is useful, what information is harmful, and what information is useless. If you consume a lot of useless information, even if it is not harmful, it's still useless. You're cluttering your environment instead of creating the right environment in which you can learn. When there is a lot of clutter, there is no room for the right thing that needs to be done right now. So paying attention to your thoughts, learning to self-regulate your energy and self-regulate your thoughts is an essential skill for every learner. You can never separate the thing that you're learning from your personality. If you struggle with yourself, with your own thoughts, with your own energy levels, you will never find the motivation and the energy to learn. It's that simple. And a lot of people have no idea how to regulate their emotions. They cannot even name their emotions. They don't know not how to work with them. They do not know how to look into their emotions. And learning is... learning and emotions are inseparable, right? So learning never happens without emotions. There are only three emotions, epistemic emotions, that help you learn better, which is surprise, curiosity, and confusion. Confusion is actually very good, because if you enter the state of cognitive incongruity, where you're confused because you thought you knew it, but now you're seeing the information that contradicts what you know, a healthy response is the desire to find out. What is it that I don't know, and why? Why am I seeing what I'm seeing? A lot of online products and online learning, I specifically mean online learning products. They want to eliminate confusion from all their products. They don't want a person to be confused even for a split second. They don't want to lose a person's attention. They want a person to know where to click, what to do next. They want them to know how many points they have earned, how many mistakes they have made, and what to do next. A person is never confused, which means a person never has a chance to develop curiosity, which means a person is constantly fed information, and the person has no filter for this information. Probably they're fed useless information, and they're fed the information that is supposed to interest them, but we don't really know. It's unhealthy, because people are fed, they're spoon-fed information, and people do not resist, because it's convenient. But it has nothing to do with learning. It is entertainment, and you have to understand this. Learning must be effortful. If it takes little effort or no effort, this is not learning. This is entertainment. And this entertainment channel is currently struggling for your attention. That's it. So pay attention to your thoughts. To pay attention to your thoughts, you can do 2 exercises. If this is a new practice for you, if you have no idea how do I pay attention to my thoughts, journaling. Start writing down your thoughts. Look at your thoughts in writing. I have creative writing courses. They're amazing because they teach you to pay attention to your thoughts in English and to understand other people's thoughts and emotions in English as well, so that you can have better relationships. So you can try those, but the free exercise that you can do every day on your own is journaling. Write down your thoughts. Try to summarize your day. What was the most surprising or the most interesting thing for me today? Try this exercise. And another exercise that you can do is journaling, to summarize anything, your experience, not anything, but your experience about anything. And the second exercise is self-reflection. I also recommend that you do this in writing, but do it specifically with whatever you're learning. For example, you had an English class today. Self-reflect on it and write down your thoughts. What was useful for me in this lesson today? What did I learn? What did I like? What did I not like? Self-reflection. Reflect on the value of this lesson for you and reflect on your own effort. Try to self-evaluate your own effort. This is an amazing exercise that teaches you to think rather than consume information. Because all we do is we consume information relative to our performance. We consume that too. When somebody tells us, oh, you've done an amazing job, we take it, even if we didn't do an amazing job. Especially, I mean, I'm not saying that you have to question everything that people tell you. I'm not saying that you have to doubt other people who say that you've done a good job, but I'm not talking about interpersonal relationships right now. I'm not talking about your colleague who probably said that you did an amazing presentation. I am talking about an application, AI, that has given you 1,500 points for pressing play on a video. And after you watched the video, they said, you've done an amazing job. Here are your 20,000 more points. You haven't done an amazing job. You just watched the video, right? You just watched the video. No effort has been applied yet. The purpose of this technology is to help you feel good. And we can understand why. But the purpose of learning is not to feel good. The purpose of learning is to create a change. Okay, the next lesson, lesson number 5, is about the importance of being spontaneous. This year was amazing because it taught me one thing about being spontaneous. It's more important than anything. And native like fluency is all about being spontaneous and being clear when you are spontaneous. A lot of language learners want to invest in preparing a beautiful presentation or in preparing a beautiful speech. And when people think about public speaking or presentation skills in a foreign language, they usually think in terms of preparation. They think that it's important to write down the text of your presentation. It's important to edit it, to make sure it's beautiful and correct, and then to practice delivery, then to stand on a stage, and to finally deliver it to thousands of people who will give you a round of applause. You walk away, and probably that's it. But native like fluency is not really about that. Native like fluency, if we remember that it is about building relationships, it's all about the skill of being spontaneous and being true to yourself when you are spontaneous, and being clear when you are spontaneous. We will have, look, our interactions with people are spontaneous most of the time. We might be working on our personal relationships, on our business relationships. We very often need to respond very spontaneously in various situations, especially if you are someone who has moved to a different country where you need to build an entirely new life. The main criterion for becoming fluent, truly fluent, for me now is how spontaneous you are, and how unafraid you are to be spontaneous, and how good you are at being spontaneous. How clear are you when you have to speak spontaneously? These are the questions that I ask myself. By the way, this is my measurement system. How do I understand that I'm progressing? How often do I self-correct when I speak spontaneously? How often do I hear my own mistakes? How often do I need to say, look, forget what I just said, I'm confusing you, let me start over. So that's another thing. How clear is my sentence structure? Can people follow me? Am I taking people from facts to details, or am I going in circles, and am I repeating the details over and over again, never actually getting to the point? And of course, feedback. Is my message received? And is my message received exactly the way that I intend to send it? I continuously check understanding. I check my own understanding, meaning, do I understand what people want to say? Do I understand what people mean to say? And then I check their understanding too. Are they just hearing the words that I'm saying, or are they actually getting what I'm saying? This is very important. So spontaneity and being clear in spontaneous conversations. This is lesson number 5. Lesson number 6 is the practice routine. I can talk about it forever, but if you want to become a better learner in 2023, my recommendation is learn what a practice routine is and start a practice routine. Don't start an online course that is supposed to be over and that is supposed to teach you something. You have probably taken so many online courses and you have probably lost motivation so many times. So if you want my advice, stop being the kind of learner who doesn't really know what they're doing, but they're hoping for the best. You know, this category of learners who take English classes or who want to start over and learn again and learn English again and finally get serious about their practice, but they don't really know what they're doing. So they go all in, hoping for the best. I know many students like this. They're hoping for the best. And that should not be your strategy. The strategy should not be, I'm going to do whatever, hoping for the best. The strategy should be, I have a very deliberate practice routine, meaning I know exactly what I'm practicing. I know how many times a week. I know what exercises I'm doing. I know how I seek feedback. I know who I want my feedback from. I know how many iterations I want to do. And I know how my exercise should be structured. A structure means your exercise needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Well, this middle part can be complicated and can vary in length and duration for many people, but you need to know what it means to start an exercise, and most importantly, you need to know what it means to finish your exercise, to complete an exercise. And your practice routine needs to be sustainable, meaning it needs to bring you joy. That's the only recipe for making it sustainable. And again, we're going back to the previous lesson, one of the previous lessons, I think it was lesson number 1 actually, which was learning must be effortful. And for learning to be effortful, you need to learn to fall in love with your own effort. Only then it starts bringing joy. To fall in love with your effort, you need a clear measurement system so that you can self-evaluate your effort. So that's the next lesson. Practice routine. It is empowering. It is a very effective tool to turn your pain into an empowerment, because we usually want to start a practice routine when we suck at something, when we're really bad at something, when we really want to improve something, and we understand that it's not just an incremental change. We need a radical change. We need to eradicate that pattern, that behavior. We need to really change what doesn't work for us anymore, and it would be too difficult to create a radical change and to start living differently starting from tomorrow, because our autopilot, we've been living on autopilot for so many years, and we think on autopilot, we do many things on autopilot, and you can't change this in one day. There is no course in the world that will change it for you in just one day or even 1 week. Yes, you can go on a retreat somewhere far away and you can adopt a new way of thinking, but it's easy when you're in an isolated environment where you're fed specific food, where you are with specific people, where you are in a specific climate. It's easy to practice very specific thoughts in that place. However, you go back home, You go back, you have to go to work again, you have to be with your family members again, you have to be in your home again, and everything starts happening again. That's why I'm not really a big advocate for such radical changes. What I find more effective is a very conscious and deliberate practice routine where you teach your autopilot to adjust step by step. That's why I break it down for myself and I start a deliberate practice routine. I pick a skill. I ask myself, what do I want to focus on relative to this skill? And I ask myself what exercises align with my purpose, with my focus. And then I start doing these exercises deliberately. And it is very, very powerful. You keep doing a certain exercise over and over again. You commit to making it a routine. Of course, you commit to making sure that this routine brings you joy too. You keep doing it, you keep following your routine, and over time, what happens is that you know without really knowing it. Like you know something without really knowing where and when you learned it. It just happens. It's like, you've been working with some phrases and words, and then one day you just know them. You just happen to use them in the right situations at the right time, but you don't really know where and when that happened, where and when you learned them. You just find yourself using them effortlessly, and that's magical. That's why I like practice routines. And my community of practice is based entirely on creating effective practice routines. The next lesson about learning is it's going to be lesson number 6, human feedback. The fastest and the most effective way to learn is to receive human feedback. Practice routine, what I have just spoken about, and human feedback. I read an interesting thought yesterday, which is that AI is learning very fast, and AI is learning with feedback, with human feedback. Human feedback is what is helping AI to learn extremely fast. It's using people's data, it's using people's insights, people, do something online, people ask questions, people upload their photos, people do everything they can to help AI learn very fast. And what we do with humans is quite the opposite, actually. We want humans to learn with feedback from AI. Take any language learning application. Do you see any human feedback there? You have to record your voice, you have to press some buttons, you have to put sentences together, and you receive feedback from AI, which tells you, yeah, this is correct, this is incorrect, you're too slow, you're too loud. Online learning programs are moving further and further away from the most effective strategy, which is people learning from people. Unfortunately, it's not really possible to teach people the essential life skills without talking to them. For centuries, for thousands of years, the most essential life skills have been taught by older generations to the younger generations. And you probably know from experience how much you can learn by just talking to another human being. They don't necessarily have to teach you something explicitly, but you can still learn a lot from them. So the most effective way to learn is through human feedback, but you have to be very careful about who you want your feedback from. People who are not practicing the same thing, people who are not interested in achieving the same goals, people who have a different worldview, people who do not share your ambitions, do you really want their feedback? To me, a daring learner is somebody who, first of all, understands how they learn. The second thing is that they can learn directly from the source. And that's the skill that we're losing as well. Everybody online pretends to be the source. Everybody says, don't you even dare look at other teachers. Look only at me, or learn only with me. I'm the only person who can teach you English, or I'm the only person who can teach you the art of illustrations or whatever. No, This is not true. I'm not the only person who can teach you. And actually, the method that I teach implies that you do not and you never learn English from one person. Your English teacher cannot be the source of everything that you need to know about the English language. We want to learn English directly from the source. And our source are all the native speakers who speak English from birth. So a daring learner is someone who knows how they learn best, who can learn directly from the source, and who can seek high-quality feedback from more advanced learners. I do not position myself as a teacher of English. I am a learner myself as well. This is why when you go to the community of practice, you do not see me give you exercises. You do not see me teach you English. You see me do all the exercises with you. Yes, I might do them faster than you. I might do them, or I might do more advanced exercises that you can currently do. The reason is simple. I have maybe a decade of more practice than you, and that's it. That's why I can do more advanced exercises today. But you need to become a daring learner instead of committing to being an obedient student who is fed information, who believes everything a teacher says about their performance. You need to become a learner if you want to progress. And human feedback, together with practice routine, are the two most important ingredients to becoming a good learner. By the way, if you're watching this video, you have to know that I have a free course, Daring Learner. It's titled A Daring Learner, and you can find it in the community of practice. All you need to do is log in, click on this tab, Free Course. Unfortunately, you will not see it in a mobile app. You have to log into the community of practice from your desktop, and then you will see this tab in the welcome space, a free welcome course. It's called A Daring Learner. It's free, and I designed it specifically for everybody who wants to understand how the method works and what it means to achieve native-like fluency and what it will take. So if you have these questions, how many hours a day do I need to practice? What exactly will I need to do? How will I know that I got there? What methods are effective? You will find the answers to all these questions on this course. And lesson number 8 is, I'm going to read it because I wrote it down and I really like the line that I wrote. To become a better learner, focus on becoming, not on finishing the program. Focus on becoming. And you probably want to ask yourself, what kind of person are you becoming? Whatever you're learning should support the person that you're becoming. And the people you're learning with should support the person that you're becoming. Once you have learned something, now you can apply it. When you start applying whatever you have learned, you start acting differently. When you start acting differently, you start getting different results, which probably means that your desires change. And if your desires change, then you probably don't have the old desires anymore. So you're becoming a different person who has new thoughts, new desires, new impulses, who feels differently about many things. And it's important that you understand what kind of person you are becoming and what kind of person you want to become. The learning process, your practice routine, your choice of a person who gives you feedback or of people who give you feedback should support your goal. To give you some examples, you can choose to become a more confident person. You may choose to become a person who doesn't waste their time doing the wrong thing. You can choose to become a person who acts faster. You know what you need to be doing, but you procrastinate. For example, that might be the case, so you want to choose a practice routine that will force you to act faster. You might want to become a person who is not afraid of being spontaneous, who is not afraid of speaking up. You might want to become a person who is not afraid of self-correcting. You might want to become a person who is not damaged by their own mistakes, who can stand up on their feet very quickly once they've made a mistake. You might want to become a person who finds joy in learning. You might want to become a person who has fallen in love with their own effort. You might want to become a person who looks forward to waking up every day and doing their exercises. You see, the list can go on, but you might want to become a person who wants to become a role model for their kids. That's a good reason to start eating healthy. Not because it's healthy, not because it's fashionable, not because it's something you're supposed to do, not because your doctor says so, but because you want to become a role model for your kids. That's a way more powerful motivation. So ask yourself, who are you becoming? Because all that matters is not what you've been doing, not all the courses you've been taking, but who are you becoming and who have you become? Are you unfolding your potential, or are you following the curriculum that someone else has designed for you? To me, learning is all about unfolding my potential. But that's me. Feel free to share what learning means for you in the comments. Happy New Year, and I'll speak to you soon.